Waiting for the shindig to start. Okay, so my name's Ray. My channel's Ray Animated Reviews, where obviously I'm going to be reviewing movies, probably music, perhaps makeup. I know maybe that's not your thing, but it's definitely my thing. Um, I see Heather's here. Hello, my love. I'm so glad you made it. Oh, so sweet. She said, beauty inside and out. Very sweet. So, Heather knows me pretty well. I'm Heather's hairdresser, but do you have any questions? Anything, you've always wanted to know? Any burning questions about horror? She does have questions. All right. I'm ready. Hope everyone's having a fabulous evening. She said, I'm curious, at what point did you know you like horror and weren't scared by it? I'm curious what makes people turn toward it. So I guess, what did she say? Like, I can think of horrible things, but I can't watch it. It messes me up too much. So I think, personally, why I like horror so much, like as an adult, as someone that's, aware of things that's going on in the world is way scarier to me than any actual horror movie, because you always know, you know what I mean? The movie's gonna end. There really isn't like a zombie or a vampire like chasing you, but the thought of like biological warfare or, bombings or, horrible uprise could happen. I think that's why I can stomach it more than I can stomach, like, I can stomach fictional horror more than I can stomach actual horrors. Like, hopefully that answered your question. And Retro Ray's here. Hello. I like her channel too. It's awesome. I guess to answer the first question you had, at what point did I realize I liked horror, was so I remember watching like Phantasm when I was way too young, and it scared the crap out of me and made it very, very hard to sleep. But that rush I felt was unlike anything, I had experienced before, and it was exhilarating and I loved it. And I remember, at our library at school, they, in elementary school, they'd have you sit around, Halloween or whatever, and they would read to us scary stories to tell in the dark. And I remember specific stories that just scared the crap out of me, that like to this day, like kind of make me a little when I hear it. And it's that, like, that feeling you get, the adrenaline, everything. That's how I knew I loved it. And I haven't been able to stop watching it since then. So yes, Heather, I do agree. The love of horror, for me at least, started with the adrenaline rush. Like, I feel like I would never skydive, but I will watch some messed up movies and get super, feel really good about them. So, what else you guys got? Hit me with some questions. I'm ready. All right. Retro Ray says, I love horror probably because of a certain rush you get only from horror. Exactly. That's exactly it. It's sometimes, like, it makes your heart beat faster and everything. I use this to cheat at the gym. If I'm trying to reach my target heart rate for cardio, I'll put on a horror movie. Even if I've seen it a million times, I know it's still going to get me. I know it's still going to get my heart pumping. Ray says, some of your favorite horror movies. Well, obviously, Reanimator. Love that. Return of the Living Dead. Pretty much anything George Romero has touched. I love them all. I really, really love foreign horror. I know a lot of people don't want to deal with reading the subtitles, but I love them. You know, I feel like I can pay attention to everything, get everything out of the movie while reading it. I guess genre horror movies, like I love zombie movies. I'm not super into like paranormal ghost story kind of movies, but I'll watch them. I'll give them, a try. We just watched, what was it? Veronica, the one that's just on Netflix. That's from Madrid. There were some complaints in my home that someone didn't want to read the subtitles and watch the movie, but he did because he's a good sport. I'm going to put a review up about that when I can. But Retro Ray says subtitles are no problem. So when Pan's Labyrinth first came out, I, still have my subscription to the OG Fangoria and, got the release date and everything. And, I worked at a hair place near Walmart. So I went to Walmart to buy the DVD. And when I'm buying it, the guy's like, it's subtitled. It's subtitled, right? And I was like, yeah, it's not in English. I'm aware. And he's like, okay, because some people have been bringing the movie back. And I was like, okay, cool. All right. Heather says, I think there are types of horror movies, blood and gore versus psychological, etc. What's your favorite subgenre? I do like a good psychological horror movie as long as it's not like really drawn out, because it seems like a lot of the ones that you have to, obviously you have to think more psychological ones. You have to be able to make that connection. Sometimes they do take a longer time to get to the point. I have raging ADD, so sometimes I need some gross stuff or some action to happen in between just to keep me engaged. But I would have to say my favorite subgenre, it would probably be body horror, because that always kind of, not, no pun intended, gets under your skin. I love zombies. I love them so much. So I'd have to probably go body horror zombies. Yes, Retro Ray Pan's Labyrinth was an awesome movie. Hi, Anthony. Hi, Jamie. Oh, I'm so glad you guys could make it. Do you guys have any questions you can think of? Or let's see. So, Heather said, I cried so hard at the killing of the sprites in Pan's Labyrinth. There were a lot of really hard to watch scenes. I feel like every scene with the father figure was really, really tough to watch. Obviously the ending was really, really tough to watch, even though you would hope she was, in a better place. Anthony Kulik, what is the greatest psychological horror movie ever? That's a hard one. Maybe Altered States. I don't know if a lot of people watch that movie. I liked that movie. I thought it was pretty messed me up, and I liked it. Jamie said, what do you think of the new It movie? I loved it. Maybe that's an unpopular opinion, but I think that Bill Skarsgård did a completely different thing than Tim Curry did, and I think he's genuinely creepy. I really liked it. I liked that it went to different places that the miniseries could have gone, obviously, because it was on TV. It was a lot more graphic. It was a lot more of what we needed from that movie. Was Veronica worth the time? I will let you know in my review. Tiffany says, for Dawn of the Dead, can females infect during their time of the month? Do zombies menstruate? Has that been touched yet? Should that be touched? Who knows? I probably, if it's like an open wound, we're getting into gross territory. Tiff asked, what is your opinion of the movie Hard Candy? So my very good friend is a very big fan of that movie. I have it in my queue. I haven't watched it yet. I should have watched it. I was out of work for a week for a unfortunate medical condition that I have that could be reoccurring. So I watched a lot of movies while I was out. I should have watched Hard Candy. I've heard really good things about it, so I will watch it. I will let you know. Retro Race's Altered States classic. Yes, my dude. There's an argument going on about the zombie period question. Anthony says, what are your thoughts about gore movies like Human Centipede and Hostel? I loved them. I hate to admit, I was stoked that Human Centipede 3 came out on my birthday. I make a lot of Human Centipede jokes that aren't in the best taste, but I really don't care. I like gore movies. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's gore porn, F Eli Roth. I like Eli Roth. Another unpopular opinion, but it's my opinion. And I feel like, he took it there. And a lot of people didn't, and a lot of people hate him for it, but I am a huge fan of effects. I'm a more so practical effects, but like any effects, I like to see things that are going to turn my stomach a little bit and make me feel something. Not like, I sound soulless, but who cares? I want that reaction. And Human Centipede kind of always holds a little special part in my heart. I think it was either the first or second movie I made my husband watch with me the first time we ever hung out, just to prepare him, this is what you're going to be in for in the long haul. Human Centipede. And he's still around, so I like that movie. Let's see. Tiff said, I love to watch that movie with Innocence of the Male Species. It makes you realize how amazing Ellen Page is. Yeah, she's badass. Jamie said, are there any horror movies that are coming out that you're excited to see? I wanted to see, oh my gosh, the new Insidious. I haven't seen it yet. I know all the rumblings about the Halloween. I don't know. Is it a reimagining at this point? It's a sequel that they're just gonna brush all the other ones under the carpet. I love Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm super excited to see The Shape again. So I'm pretty stoked about seeing that. I know there's a few remakes that are coming that I am not excited about, but I have a hard time accepting remakes. There's, again, huge Romero fan. There is a Day of the Dead reimagining, and I love Bub. I got to meet the guy that played Bub, Howard, and he was awesome. And it makes me sad that they keep remaking this movie and it's never quite been half as good as, the original Day. So we'll see. What else? They're laughing at my husband for watching The Human Centipede. Oh, Tiff says, The Fly from the 80s got me into gore. The teeth scene ruined me for life. I remember the first time I got to see the David Cronenberg Fly. Just I had The Fly and Return of the Fly on VHS. I think my dad got me them for Christmas maybe. But I was expecting something like that, and then to see the Brundlefly and just he was melting, and it was really like emotional at the end, and I wasn't prepared for that because I'm just like, oh, it's a remake and I'm 10, so not so much, but I love that too. Um, let's see. Heather said, do you think there's a medical possibility of 28 days becoming real in the future? I secretly worry about that sometimes when I want to stress myself out for no reason. Girl, same. So like 28 days later makes me think a lot of I can't remember what the name of the drug is that just makes people like hallucinate, and whenever you see pictures of them, they're real bloody and just insane looking. And I think that's what that one guy was on when he ate that other guy's face. What was it? Flocka. Thank you. I've actually, for some reason, Googled videos of people on that drug, and it's freaked me out way, way more than like any horror movie. Well, I shouldn't say any horror movie. There's a lot of movies that freak me out, but you know, that's scary because that's a possibility. There's, again, with my I like fake horror because it's not real horror, because they probably could engineer some kind of virus or have, some kind of drug that makes you react that way and be violent. Retro Race is the Babadook. I love the Babadook. I also loved that somehow the Babadook became like the LGBT spokesperson somehow, and then there were all these pictures of the Babadook just like rainbowed out, like fabulous. Like, yes, I love that. Tiff said, if your cat became a zombie, would you treat her like the movie Fido? Yeah, literally, like death can't tear me away from my cat. I love my cat so much. If my cat was chewing my arm off, I'd probably just be like, oh my God, she's so pretty. Because she is. And I love her. I love my dog too, but I love my cat. Anthony says, what is your favorite horror movie? His is Jaws. So this one is really hard. I feel like I can't just like pinpoint it to one movie. Because they just, there's so many different movies coming out all the time. I love 80s horror. I love anything cheesy. I love anything, I like the cheese. I like scary. I love I love Return of the Dead. Sometimes when you associate your favorite thing, you associate like what was going on in your life at the time. And I just remember like life was pretty good at that time. Things were awesome. And Linnea Quigley is completely nude pretty much in that movie, and that's awesome too. And the Tar Man. I love the Tar Man. Who wants to grow up to be the Tar Man? Not really. Tiff said, Slenderman opinion. I didn't see it yet. From what I've heard of other people's reviews, I don't know if I want to see it. I should see it. I shouldn't, just discount it, because I like a lot of things people don't like, and people don't, people have different opinions, and that's all. I love Scary Movie. I probably own a few of them. I need some giggles with my gore. Just balances everything out. It's always a good thing. You gotta be able to make fun of the genre as well as love the genre, which you do. Let's see. Retro Ray says, best psychology horror, The Babadook, The Shining, Silence of the Lambs, and Misery. Ooh, yes. I remember Misery, just like, I couldn't look at people's ankles for a while without thinking about that hobbling scene. That was rough. The Shining, hello, classic. Love it. I love every documentary I've ever watched about it is just Stephen King just like didn't like, do not like. There's a whole movie about like different aspects of The Shining and how it's linked to like the moon landing being faked and stuff with the pattern in the carpet. My cat's in here. I have to pet her. Um, you know, totally cool. Retro races, 80s rule, yes. I miss you too, Jamie. I love your face as well. Tip says Poltergeist sing along or amazing trauma. I freaking love trauma. I love Poltergeist. The one, so we're in Pennsylvania. The one Monster Mania convention. There's actually one going on right now. Couldn't go, so I decided to live stream. The one Monster Mania that I went to, we ended up somehow, like, we weren't in the hotel with the actual convention, but we ended up, like, there was people from Trauma that somehow ended up in our hotel room, and I remember taking pictures with them, partying with them, and then one of them ate the rest of my calzone, and I was salty about it. But I love Trauma. I love everything about Trauma. I love how disgusting it is. Redneck Zombies is one of the only movies to ever turn my stomach, and that's really hard to do. Very impressed. Very nauseous, but very impressed. Let's see. Yes, Shaun of the Dead was awesome. Oh, spoof movie Jamie likes, Haunted House 1 and 2. I still haven't. Wait, have I seen Haunted House? I might have seen it. I can't remember. This beanbag chair is sinking. I'm not just shrinking, it's my chair. I'm sorry, guys. The Late Late Horror Show's here. Hi, Dino. I'm glad you made it. Welcome. Um, let's see. Poltergeist reboot was garbage. Still haven't seen it. I should see it, just to give it the benefit of the doubt. I do trust your opinion, Anthony. It probably was, how remakes kind of tend to go. But I gotta check it. Heather asked, have you ever gone to the town that inspired Silent Hill? It's in PA. That's Citronia, I think. I've wanted to go, but then the irrational anxiety part of me is like, that town's on fire, and you're gonna willingly go to a town that's actively burning. You should think about that. And then the other part of me is like, think about the pictures you could get there and possibly see Pyramid Head and then shit your pants. But I kind of want to go. I feel like I read somewhere that they completely have it blocked off now. So you guys let me know. Have you guys been to Citronia? Let's see. Heather said, follow up. What is the spookiest place you've gone into in real life? Spookiest place. I actually don't go to spooky places. Again, the raging anxiety. But I have a really good friend. She goes to a lot of abandoned places and takes amazing pictures. Sometimes alone, and that makes me worry a little for her, but like beautiful stuff. Honestly, like the spookiest place I've gone to is like Shocktoberfest, or there's a really cool zombie thing that's local. I think it was called PA Zombies. It might be called something different now, but that's like the creepiest I've gotten. Like I don't go looking for creepy stuff, but let's see. Retro Ray said, another great psychological horror, The Eyes of My Mother. Loved it. That's on my list to watch. I just what was the other one? I watched one, it was under the cover. I can't remember what it's called right now, but it was the one that was set in the mid 90s, early 90s. It was cool. Can't remember. All right. Aw, Tiffy's going. Thank you for coming, Tiffy. All right. Let's see. Anthony says, did you see Creep and Creep 2? I did. I just saw Creep 2. I think that was the week I was out of work. I loved it. I love the guy in it. Like, we're big fans of, and my mind just brain fart. My train derailed. What the heck was it called? The one about the fantasy football team. Help me out, guys. I can't remember, but I love that actor, and I was not expecting to see full frontal at all. Didn't really wanna see it, but it happened, and I think the fact that, he is such a lovable guy in the other show, to see him as this person was, like, kind of like a mind fuck. It's like seeing, Jim Carrey not, like, in a funny role, kinda messes with you, but it's definitely cool to see that range. I really liked the plot line of it, I like that it was found footage, but it was done differently because a lot of the found footage stuff, you're kinda like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I know what I'm gonna get," but he kinda tells you what you're gonna get from the beginning, and then you kinda get to see how it plays through, which was super cool. I loved it. Let's see. Didn't you go on the zombie hayride at Shocktoberfest? I sure did. That is my favorite part of Shocktoberfest. I get so excited. It's a zombie world. It looks like rip off Jurassic Park, you know. But the first time I went on the zombie hayride was my bachelorette party because I'm weird and I didn't want to go drinking or go to a strip club. I wanted to go to a Halloween themed park because that's what I'm about. And I was so excited, just grinning the entire time. Every time we've gone on the hayride, the zombies don't mess with me because you're not gonna mess with someone with a gigantic grin on their face because 'cause they're not going to be scared, which makes me kinda sad, but they're just like, and I'm like, "I'm here," you know? It's cool. Um, that's, like, the best part. I also, I have an eye condition that I don't have the best vision in, low light or darkness. So if we go through a haunted house, I'm just kinda clinging on to people the entire time, which isn't fun for anyone, but on a hayride, they're driving me around, I get to enjoy it, everyone's good. My cat's back. Hello. Let's see. The Creep movie's awesome. Yes, Retro Ray. Retro Ray says, "Where was the boys' full frontal?" How did you miss that in Creep 2 when he's just like, "Ha!" and takes the towel off, there's dongs right there. Don't start the dong apocalypse, please. Or do. Do what you wanna do, I'm in it. I'm not in you know what I mean. Anthony says, "If you could meet Robert Englund or Kane Hodder, who would you rather meet?" It's funny that you chose specifically those 2 because I've met them both. Um, I have a machete that's signed by Alice and Mrs. Voorhees and now Kane Hodder, and it was super awkward going up to him at a con, and he's a big dude. I'm 5'3" and a half. I'm holding on to that half. And I just whipped this machete out, and I'm like, "Could you please sign this, please? Big fan. Sign my machete." And he's like, signs it up for me, gave me a hug. Super nice guy. Wasn't threatened by a midget with a machete, so that's awesome. I've gotten to meet Robert Englund twice. The first time, it seems like each time he would be at the con, the lines would get progressively longer. So, the first time it was going relatively fast. I got, like, 3 things signed. I got my Freddy versus Jason signed. He put, like, "Sweet dreams, my bitches" on, which was awesome, and I got a picture with him, and then he signed a thing for one of my friends, and I got one signed for my friend's wedding, and he was super nice and embarrassed me because I wasn't paying attention, and he did the Freddy laugh and said, "Ha ha ha," fresh meat, and I looked up, and he's looking right at me, and I'm like, "Hey." So that was cool. The second time we met him, I got to meet him with one of my very best friends, and he was taking pictures with us, and we're hungover and possibly still drunk at the con because we stayed over, and that's what you do. And, so he, took a picture with us, And he's smiling, and he's like, "Okay, now let's do a scary one." So I have a picture of him with his arms around both of us, and he's like and then the next one, he's like and it's awesome. He's such a nice guy. Him and Kane Hodder, both super nice guys. Like, I haven't met, with the exception of one person, an actor at a con that was nasty. He was pretty nasty, and I kinda told him where to stick it, which you gotta do sometimes. So, I was happy I got to meet them both. Let's see. Ray said, "No, I meant the lady frontal moment." Was there a lady frontal moment? I can't remember now. She did show her boobs. She just didn't show, like, her Pikachu, which is fine, like, I know what that looks like. I've got that tackle too. Ahaha, Ray. Heather says, "I got Alan Oppenheimer's autograph and Skeletor's Havoc staff at RetroCon." Oh, that's so cool. Anything with Skeletor, I love Skeletor. My sister was posting for a while, it was, like, motivational quotes with Skeletor, and it was so awesome, and I loved it. Retro races, just boobs. Okay, so I didn't miss anything else. Anthony says, "Who was this nasty actor?" So it was, David Naughton from, American Werewolf in London. I don't know if he was just having a bad day, that could have been it, but he was kind of like, you know, I walked past him and he was like, "It must be nice to have mommy and daddy pay for you to go to a convention." And I was like, "First of all, mommy and daddy did not pay for me to come here because I am a grown adult. I paid for my shit." He was probably just crabby. I'm sure a lot of people are dicks to him at cons in his defense. Um, we got to meet George A. Romero, for like 2 seconds, but it was awesome. He's a giant and he just had like the big glasses and me and my friend are like, "Thank you so much for making awesome movies." And he was like, "Oh, I'm just a guy from Pittsburgh." Like, super humble guy. Um, I got to meet Derek Mears and I had him sign something. And yes, it was right before the Friday the 13th remake. It's like, "Who should I make it out to?" And I said eBay, and he thought it was really funny, and I felt good about myself, because he laughed. Um, uh, Doug Bradley in a bar thought he was someone's grandpa because he's just this like, nice looking older gentleman just like sipping a beer, and we're like, "Oh my god, that's Doug Bradley." He's super cool. Um, Greg Nicotero, and he asked what I did for a living. And at the time, I was only a licensed cosmetologist, and I told him that, and he asked what he could do for the bags under his eyes, and I was like, "Please hire me. Please, I would like a job, please." And, ha, 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 get out of here. No, he didn't say that. He was really super cool. Tom Savini, of course. I got to meet him after I was, the day, I think, after I was in a head-on collision. I had a cast on my arm, and he was like, "Why are you here?" I was like, "Because of you. Thank you so much for being awesome." And he was like, "You should probably go home." But he was super awesome. Yes, Anthony was an asshole thing to say, but, it happens. Um, Thank you so much, Retro Ray, for coming out. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad that you could join us. Much love. Heather says, "Who is the person you want to meet that you haven't met yet?" Let's see. I'd love to meet Elvira, obviously. Living or dead? That was my cat. Um, I'd love to meet Elvira. I'd love to meet Cassandra Peterson. Let me think. She says living. Let's see. I'd love to meet Bruce Campbell. I know that he's a big request at horror conventions. Dude's busy. Like, he has a lot of stuff going on. He has the show, which is awesome. I love the show. Um, who else? I'd like to meet Bill Skarsgård and probably be scared of him because he's super tall. I'm thinking Stephen King, I'd like to pick his brain. I would love to meet Clive Barker. I'm a huge Clive Barker fan. Like I love him so much. I love everything he's written. I love his movies. I know not everyone shares my opinion, but definitely awesome. He's so cool. Heather says, I love Bruce. I'd love to buy a beer. Yes, that would be awesome. Anthony says, have you seen Hellraiser Judgment? I personally thought it was mediocre. I haven't seen it yet. I've heard a lot of people that share your opinion. They felt that, I guess, the storyline was really lacking, which, I mean, I feel like as the sequels go on, that's kind of the trend. You know what I mean? Unfortunately. But I know a lot of people were mad that Doug Bradley wasn't Hellraiser. Or what? He wasn't Pinhead. But, like, you gotta realize, like, dude's getting up there in age. Maybe pass the torch, let other people try it out. But, nothing is gonna beat the originals for a lot of people. You know, you love that story. Like, that's one of my favorite stories. I love it. Um, a shout out to the horror show. They've been doing a series where they read, excerpts from the Hellbound Heart, and it's amazing. And just like I love that story. It's incredible. Let's see. Heather says, "What movie do you think is the most hidden gem that deserves way more credit than it got?" Hmm. I would have to say I love Dead Alive. And does that get enough credit? I'm not sure. Should it get more credit? Definitely. It's disgusting. It has a weird storyline. You watch that movie and then you're like, "Oh," and then they just gave this dude the Lord of the Rings franchise, which they did. Maybe they watched that and then Meet the Feebles. They were like, "Peter Jackson, why not? Let's go for it." I'd say that one probably I'd say that one definitely deserves way more credit. Um, The Burning, I love The Burning. I thought that was an awesome movie. It's like the effects in it Tom Savini did are so realistic. They even hold up, nowadays when things are, tweaked so much with CGI that they're either like really bad or like really seamless. Let's see what else. City of the Dead is disgusting and underrated, and I love that one too. Oh, we have a pores on here. Says, "Hi, Ray. Have you ever seen the movie High Tension? If so, what did you think?" I thought it was good. I really like French horror movies because they seem like they don't hold back on a lot of things. I really liked, the twist in the end. I liked how they kept you know, the high energy, all the suspense going throughout the whole movie. I thought it was done really well, and it was something at the time that they really hadn't touched upon, especially the female aspect of it. If you haven't seen it, I don't want to give it away to anyone, but it does have a very strong female character in it, especially at the end. Very cool. Loved it. All right. Mr. Hominet says, have you seen the Japanese movie House from the 70s? I haven't seen it yet. My stepmom actually texted me about that and said that someone that my father had been taking a class with really recommended the movie to him. And at first I thought they meant like the movie House from the 80s. And I was like, oh yeah, I've seen that movie, but I still haven't seen this yet. I totally plan on looking for it. I'm probably gonna try. There's like one of the remaining actual movie stores that's maybe like 45 minutes from where I live that I could possibly order it through if I can't find it, through my own means, through Amazon, whatever. But if I do find it, I will watch it. I will review it because I've heard that it's just messed up and I'm into that. Anthony says, what movie did you go see that was a complete disappointment? Mine was Annabelle. Yeah, I agree with you. Um, I really liked the Conjuring movies up until that one. I haven't seen, the what is it? Annabelle, Creation? Is that the prequel? I haven't seen that one yet. So, I'm a huge Edgar Allan Poe fan, and I'm a big John Cusack fan, which I get from my dad because he's, a big fan of his movies. Um, with that being said, any adaptation of an Edgar Allan Poe story or poem, I'm gonna be hypercritical of because I love me some Poe. So, The Raven with John Cusack didn't quite meet my standards. Wasn't a huge fan of how they ended the movie. I'm not a huge fan of people taking, we don't know ultimately what was going on with Edgar Allan Poe when he did pass. So it kind of like makes me mad for some reason when people speculate on it. I understand it's a movie. I understand people are going to take liberties, but I'm like, that's not what's wrong with him. That's not what when they thought he had rabies because he loved cats and he would adopt them and bring them in his house and blah blah blah, but whatever. I wasn't super into it, you know. Um let's see. Heather says, we were talking about Pan's Labyrinth earlier. Have you watched many foreign horror movies? And if so, what is the main difference between American movies and who do you prefer? So, the main difference would probably be like a lot of the cultural stuff. Like a lot of the Chinese horror movies that I was watching, I didn't understand the correlation between like, some of their beliefs and the color red. So I was really confused watching this one movie where they were sealing up cracks with red tape and it was keeping these creepy like ghost fingers out. And I'm like, but why is it red? And then, looked into it and the meaning of the color red in certain religious aspects and stuff like that. Some of the reasons why the zombies slash vampires would jump in the movies because of the positive and negative couldn't be in contact at the same time on the earth, so they couldn't stay like on flat ground. They would just get like pushed off, and I thought that was really cool. um I think sometimes with American horror movies, not to sound like a dick, is something you say when you're gonna say something that makes you sound like a dick. But sometimes with American horror movies, they feel the need to like dumb things down a lot and just throw like way more gore and action on you because there's no possible way you could think things through and come to your own conclusions. Whereas sometimes with the foreign horror movies, they wait for you sort of to infer what's going on and then go with that. So there's still like the element of mystery to it. You don't really know why it ended like that, but you can come to your own conclusion in your mind why it ended like that, which is something I prefer. And also, like, we're kind of prudy in America, and they're definitely not, especially with, European horror movies. They're kind of just like, wah, like just throw it all at you. And I like that. And hello, you like my memes, don't you, Squidward? I love your name. Welcome. Anthony says 1408 with John Cusack was bad. I mean, so they worked it off of a short story. I think they could have done worse. I didn't like how jump scary it was because I will kick the air like David Lee Roth when scared. And it's fun for other people, but not so much for me. Like no jump scares, unnecessary. Like I don't need to throw popcorn. Come on now. You like my meme says if my dad's truck can hit top speed of 60 mile per hour and the gasoline station is only 30 miles away, why hasn't my father returned after 16 years? I got a sad truth for you, buddy. And I don't want to be the one to break it to you. And also, I really, really suck at math, so I'm just going to leave that one. And the horror miser Monty G's here. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Heather says, what book or writing do you want to see made into a movie that hasn't yet? Ooh. I'd like to see someone try to do a film adaptation of anything Poppy Z. Bright has written. Because as far as I know, I don't think that's happened. And maybe like below an NC-17 situation if it has been done. But I love her writing. I would love to see someone attempt to tackle that. But I'm sure if it wasn't done well, there would probably be a lot of backlash. I love her writing. If you guys haven't checked her out, definitely check her out. She's awesome. She's also very risque. So if you're of, fragile or weak constitution, take that as a warning. But she's incredible and graphic, extremely sexual, just to put that warning out there. But she's awesome. Please check her out. My Lorena Poor says, did you see Mother? Thoughts? I didn't see it yet. I plan on seeing it. I've heard that it is just visually beautiful. I've heard that everyone involved did a great job, acting out the story. I know it's going to be a little fucked, so I'm looking forward to that. I know there's a lot of symbolism behind it, which I'm excited for, which, I mean, like the symbolism that they addressed is incredibly sad and incredibly real, has to do with the environment and, climate change and everything that's happening and how things are, we're losing a lot of resources that can't be replaced, unfortunately. So I got to gear myself up to watch that and then have something maybe lighthearted to watch afterwards. Anthony says, what is a guilty pleasure / horror movie? Oh my gosh. Like recently it's been The Howling and every single sequel they have ever made to it, even the remake, which somehow I taped my eyes open and made it through. I don't know how I made it through. Don't go out of your way to watch the remake. It's on Prime, but don't watch it because it's not very good. And there's literally no werewolves in it. In a remake, that's about a werewolf-based movie. Why? Who knows? But I hated it. I hated it so much. There was a chick running around with a bra on, whatever, but you're not a werewolf running around with no shirt on. So I really don't care. And it made me so mad. And I don't know. I couldn't stop watching the Howling remakes. Not remakes, sequels. I was searching for them. I'm planning on buying them from Amazon. Or if anyone feels so generous as to send them to my house, I'll take it. I would love you forever. I guess other guilty pleasures. I love to torture my friends with really bad movies, like a lot of trauma. I made my friends watch Night of the Demons with me, and they had no idea what they were in for. This was a few years ago. And my one good friend still references the lipstick nipple part with Linnea Quigley. And he's like, why did you make me watch that? I don't know. I have a problem where I make people watch bad movies that they think are bad. I love that movie. I get joy out of watching Prom Night 2. I can't help it. I love cheesy movies. I love any mystery science theater type movies. That's my gig. I love them. Sorry, not sorry. No shame. Heather says, do you play horror video games, Resident Evil? I don't, but I would love to. Currently, the video games that I would play are Dance Dance Revolution, Just Dance. I have a Star Wars game that I still haven't played, but I feel like if I play it and I don't get to use the Wii remote as a lightsaber, I'm going to be really disappointed. I used to have Time Crisis for my PS2 with the gun cons, and that was awesome. I I guess a horror video game I really like to play is what the heck was it? House of the Dead at the arcade. Like, I stood there for probably like an hour and a half cock blocking 10-year-old boys from playing this game because I just wanted to play it and shoot zombies, and I'm not that bad of a shot, so I was really into it. I liked that. Anthony says, if you could be in any horror movie, which one and why? As a villain, or could I be a villain? Let me know. I'll answer that question. Anthony Kulik says, Night of the fucking Demons. I love it. Yes. It's so good. Heather says, I would love to see you play Resident Evil on a Let's Play streaming to YouTube. So my worry with that, because I'm not very good at video games with controllers, is that the whole streaming would be me in a corner, just stuck in a corner, getting killed from behind. Just over and over and over. I remember, I think when I was a teenager, I was dating this guy that had Doom on what platform, I can't remember. But he's like, oh, yeah, we'll play it. And I'm like, but let's see. Anthony says, no, as anyone else but the killer. Let's make this question more interesting. So, I don't want to die in the horror movie. Like, narcissistic as that sounds. I mean, let me think about that. Maybe, if I had to go out, I'd probably have to go out epic. Let me think on that one. I'll let you know. You know what? No. If I had to go out epic, I would want to go out as Linnea Quigley in Return of the Dead, although, like, I'm not taking anything off. But, like, that was memorable. That was awesome. You get a dance scene, and you get to be in a cemetery, which is pretty cool. Maybe the wheelchair death in Friday the 13th. That looks fun. I don't know. What would you guys want to do? Let's see. Heather says, honestly, the people that have internet fame from games are more popular when they rage on camera. I would be so popular because I hate losing and I'd just be screaming the entire time. I'm not a good sport. I tried to be a good sport, but it's just, I'm not made of that. And I get angry. I like to play games with people that I know I'm going to win the game, which makes me sound like a garbage human. And I'm sorry, but I like winning. I got a horror movie card game, and I want to play it with people, but I don't know that many people in real life that are super into horror movies like I am, like that I could play with locally. And I'm like, yes, let's play because I want to win, which, terrible person, but you know. Heather says, people love to see that, though, not to mention the jump scares in the game. Oh, I'd be throwing the controller. They put jump scares in games, too. That's, you know what? I remember I think it was a Resident Evil game or something like that. It was just, I remember it being really dark, and they were playing it, and I was sitting in the room, and I was like, nah, I'm going, because something's going to jump out, and I'm going to scream like a little bitch. And you're going to laugh at me, and I'm going to try to storm out of the room and trip over something, again, because it's dark, and Mama can't see that well. So, you know. Anthony says, I'd want to go out like Dan in Nightmare on Elm Street 5. Ooh. Ooh. You know, that sucks. I freaking love Nightmare on Elm Street. What's your guys' favorite Nightmare on Elm Street? Mine's Dream Warriors. Fight me, because I know a lot of people hate that one. Don't fight me. I don't want to fight today. I don't know. Like, I've thought about, like, a lot of people I've watched a bunch of streams or Q&As where people are like, you know, what horror movie would you want to be in and why? And my thought was always like, I just don't like, I love the horror movies. I love the villains. Hence, I don't want them to rip me apart. Because, like, none of them are just like, I'm going to inject you with something while you're sleeping and then you go out peacefully. It's like, I'm going to put your face in liquid nitrogen and I'm going to smash it on the counter, which is cool. But I don't want that. That's going to hurt really bad. I mean, you know, if you could give me a shot of Drano while I'm in a coma and not fuck with my dreams, I'd be fine with that. If you have to kill me, you could try to convert me. I'd be a good henchwoman. You know, I could be your sidekick. Anthony says, Dream Child. Yes. Said, it's great because Alice Wilcox is fantastic. She is fantastic. I know a lot of people kind of didn't like the character, but, you know. Heather says, what villain? I'm a billionaire. What villain? Come on now. What villain do you see yourself as? Huh. I mean, a lot of unfunny people like to say, I think I'm funny, but I do think I'm funny. Who knows? Maybe I have a shot. What villain? I don't want to say Freddy because I feel like a lot of people would say Freddy. And I'm also not extensively covered in burns. Or like that child stuff. Like, no. That's hard. Who would I want to be? I'm trying to think. Could I just be a zombie? No, that's generic. I'd like to be Bela Lugosi Dracula because he's a classic and awesome, and I aspire to be that awesome someday. Maybe. I love Bella. Let's see what else we got. Anthony says she's better than Heather Langenkamp. Yeah, I mean, Heather kind of started it out, but I feel like she did do a really good job. Heather says, how would you want to take out people and make your mark on the world? As a villain or as me? I don't want to necessarily take people out. Take people out to a nice steak dinner, maybe. I don't have that much money, guys. Maybe just one steak. We'll all share it. Anthony says, I'd want to be Jason. Which Jason would you want to be, Anthony? Would you want to? I would love to be Baghead Jason with that one crazy eye because I felt like that was super memorable. I love Baghead Jason. Heather says yes as a villain. So my two professions right now, I am a cosmetologist and a medical assistant. So I could take people out. I could like do a mixture of like a Sweeney Todd, inject some air into you, maybe give you like a really bad blister from placing a PPD. I'll give you a really bad bruise. That'll be my mark. I'll leave my mark on you by just going way too deep with the PPD. They'll be like, oh, we're going to read your TB test. There's a bruise. Yeah, that's lame. But you know, I don't know. I feel like if I were a movie villain, I would be probably, I don't know. I'd want to make it gory because that's the kind of movies I'm into. And I definitely let the victims know what, was going on. I'd be that villain that like tells you everything I'm about to do before I do it, and then they get away and like beat me up. Or not. Maybe I'm a good villain in a movie. Who knows? Maybe I'd get my shit together. I don't know. That is a good question, though. I know, like, even serial killers in real life take mementos, and maybe because I cut hair, I would take a lock of hair. But a lot of people do that, I think. I don't know. When you get your kid's hair cut, keep a lock of hair. Does that make you creepy? It kind of does. And then you keep their teeth. Do you ever think maybe you're a creepy, creepy parent because you keep mementos of your child? That's not weird at all. I remember, like when you're a little kid, you go through like your parents' drawers. Sorry, mom and dad. But I remember finding a little bag and it was like all of mine and my sister's teeth. And I was just like, what the hell is that's disgusting. But whatever. It's weird when serial killers do it. Anthony says, I want to be Jason from Jason 3D because he got to wrestle around with Dana Kimmel. That's true. Heather says, I can see you as Maleficent, but if you could twist her for a horror movie, how would you? Oh my god, I think they could make Maleficent so scary. That's my favorite Disney movie. Would have to be Sleeping Beauty, sheerly for Maleficent. Because the dragon is so badass. They could make that dragon so scary. And then maybe incorporate more of like the grim fairy tale aspect of it, because that shit's brutal. And they seem to really water it down, obviously, for Disney. It's not gonna be as scary as the grim stuff. But I could see them making Maleficent really scary. Um, I think she kind of looks scary in the Maleficent movie with the prosthetics they had on her cheeks. They could make those, like, way scarier and like put scales for the dragon and stuff. Give her talons, maybe. Who knows? I think that would be cool. I think they could do it, but they're not going to do it because, everything has to be family friendly, which is just lame. But whatever. What else you guys got? Hit me with some questions. I'd also like to keep thanking everyone for tuning in. I really, really super appreciate it. You guys have no idea how much it means to me from the bottom of my heart. Anthony said, if a movie studio dumped a budget on your lap and said, Ray, redo this 80s slasher movie, 80s slasher horror, what movie would you pick? Does Chopping Mall count? Because I think that could be redone amazingly. Or I would redo The Burning and have people just light my house on fire. If you've seen The Burning. Because I love that movie so much, and I don't actually know if I would remake it because it's amazing. And can you really improve on that? Like that's a really solid movie. I love that movie. There are horror movies like Cujo with dogs, no any with cats. There's a few with cats. There's the Black Cat. There's a Stephen King one that I just mind farted on, where there's like weird incest stuff going on. But like Pet Sematary has church. Does that count? I mean, so again, one of my very, very close friends, when we lived together in the apartment, it was me and two of my friends. Our one friend had a gray cat named King and looked exactly like Church, and I just kept calling this cat Church, and it would be like those weird moments where like the light reflects off their eyes. They're like, hey, Church, and you just be like, and I probably made the same face back because I was like, oh shit, it's happening. Oh my god. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a bunch of movies involving cats. Maybe not so much rabid cats, but definitely cat involved. Because cats are awesome. Anthony says he would redo The Blob. I love the Blob remake with Shawnee Smith. I love that one so much. I vaguely remember watching the original Blob, but I definitely for sure 100% love the remake. I feel like sometimes you can't distinguish, like, did I dream that or did I actually hear that? But part of me thinks that I heard there was a Blob, like another Blob remake happening, but I can't confirm nor deny that because I may have dreamt that up. Who knows? Heather says, let's talk the classics. Hitchcock. Yes. Love me some Hitchcock. Hitchcock is bomb. Very frequently reference Hitchcock living between two fields where, if anyone follows me on Snapchat, a few weeks ago, the whole one field was full of snow geese, and all I could think about was Hitchcock, and I was like, oh, this is how we die. That's great. But like any reference, like, you can kind of always take back to Hitchcock. And he was a master. He knew what he was doing. He was incredible. Everything with the suspense, like Psycho, Rear Window, like, come on. Amazing. Let's see. Mr. Hominet says, which movie do you think you could remake better than the original? It would probably have to be a pretty bad movie to begin with. I think that I could remake Jennifer's Body better than the original because that movie is trash. And I own it. I think it's somewhere behind me. For some reason, like, this movie sucks and it's terrible and the acting is terrible, but I can't get rid of it. Who knows why? The movie place I referenced before, I took probably like easily 200 movies and traded them in. I have a problem, guys. There's a lot more behind me than this. But I traded them in and I got store credit and I brought home more movies to the chagrin of some, but still kept Jennifer's Body. Why? I am a glutton for punishment, perhaps, but like, I'm probably going to watch it again. And then I'm probably going to be like, wow, this is shit. Why do you still have this? Who knows? But yeah, I would totally. There's no way you can't make that movie worse, is what I'm saying. Anthony says Psycho was the best. Yes, my friend. Heather says The Birds is my first Hitchcock movie. I can't remember if it was The Birds or Psycho was my first Hitchcock movie. I'm pretty sure I caught them on TV because I wasn't allowed to watch anything horror, anything violent when I was a kid up to like mid-teenage years. But like, I feel AMC or one of those channels would do like a lot of these kind of movies around Halloween or like October, or if maybe around like Hitchcock's birthday or the, remembrance of his passing, they would play like a lot of them, and that's how I would kind of catch them. Like, a lot of the horror movies I watched early on were the edited for TV ones, obviously, because my family isn't into this kind of genre. So I kind of like get it where I could get it. Like, I remember we had this drawer in our living room that was full of VHS tapes. And I saw one that was like handwritten on and it said Sweeney Todd. And my dad was pulling out like Three Ninjas or something for me to watch. And he was like, going around. I'm like, oh, what's that? And he's like, oh, you wouldn't like that. I would have loved that. But, you can't let like your 10-year-old watch Sweeney Todd. That's, that's asking for it. And then he says, what was the Hitchcock story when the two men are on the train and they do each other's murders? I can't remember. Heather says, which horror movie do you think is bad enough and worthy of being featured on Mystery Science Theater 3000? Ooh. Like a more recent horror movie? It's gotta be, like it's gotta be a trauma one if it's more recent because well, like, I feel like even trauma, like, they're not taking themselves seriously at all, and that's what's so great about it. Um, oh my gosh, but, like, a movie that thinks it's, like, super serious. Oh, I love this movie, but it needs to be Mystery Science Theater would be Dagon. I love this movie so much. I love anything H.P. Lovecraft, but, like, it's never like, this is the closest to them ever getting, like, an H.P. Lovecraft, like, concept kind of on target, sort of. It would have to be Dagon or, like, the Necronomicon movie. Those would be great for them just to, like, you know 'cause I feel like that's what I do if I watch movies with people that I know are, like, really left, they're crazy, and we just kinda sit there and make fun of the movie, like, it's gonna be a weird movie, you're gonna make weird comments about it and, giggle really inappropriately and make weird jokes, you know? I feel as though Mr. HomeNet is my dad because he said that was your mother's rule. Yeah, I know, um, but thank you for being supportive. Anthony says, "You couldn't watch horror as a child. That was child abuse." It wasn't my dad. My mom was very anti-horror, Looney Tunes, anti-Popeye, you know. I recall my father watching Scanners with me when I was pretty young, and thank you for that. That's still one of my favorite movies. Best head scene ever. Anthony says, "Did you see The Strangers 2?" I haven't yet. Um, I'm not sure if I plan on seeing it when it's in theaters or just waiting for it to be released. I did like The Strangers. I just like that's not so my bag, like home invasion type stuff. I think because that can happen. That's a genuine fear of mine. And if you're thinking about it, we have guns and a scary dog, so don't do it. But like the thought that there's someone in your house like that isn't, a monster or a zombie is just a regular run of the mill person is freaking scary, you know. Um I'll probably see it at some point and I'll let you guys know how I feel about it. My dad says the bag of teeth was your mom's too. I believe that. Heather says, "What about horror TV series? What is your favorite?" All right. So I would have to say my first favorite was Are You Afraid of the Dark? I have seasons 1 through 5, and some of them still really get me. Like the one about the ghost in the pool, and then you see its like head come up when the cover's over the pool. That scared the shit out of me because I was on the swim team, like, all of my childhood, and the one swim team was inside, like, an inside pool, like the freaking episode, and that's all I could think about when I was under the water was like, oh my god, this thing's gonna kill me." You know, rational fear, but, loved that. I loved, let's see, I love Ash versus Evil Dead. My phone and be like, "Ew," I don't whatever. Is Black Mirror considered horror? 'Cause I seems pretty horrific. I really like that so far. I'm still on season 1. I'm a huge Supernatural fan. That was one of the first things me and my husband bonded over. We're still huge fans. We both have Supernatural tattoos because we're those people. Um, I loved Scream Queens, and I'm sad that I heard they're not gonna do another season 'cause I like, maybe that's a guilty pleasure, but I really liked that. I did like Bates Motel. I really need to catch up on that. I think I'm, like, at least 2 seasons behind. I like American Horror Story. I haven't watched last season just because there was so much going on at the time. I don't remember what was going on at the time, but like I'm just sometimes really bad with watching shows like as they come out, like, oh, it's on this date, this time, and I'm just like, you know, we are still watching The Walking Dead. I don't really want to be watching it, but um also there's part of me that's a completionist and I need to finish it. I was a big fan of I still am a big fan of the comic books. I love the comic books and it pisses me off some of the ways that the show is taken, but I also really love Greg Nicotero and I trust in him. But like certain people should have died way sooner or like not become permanent characters or stuck around as long as I have, but whatever. Um what else is there? I really liked Hemlock Grove, which I think was a Netflix original. Um I have Freddy's Nightmares on DVD somewhere that I don't know where they are, but I remember watching them. I don't know if that's like a available thing, but I really liked it. What else is there? I'm thinking. Hmm. My favorite though, I'd probably still have to say it's a toss up between Ash versus Evil Dead and Supernatural. I love Supernatural. That's probably my favorite. But like my first love was Are You Afraid of the Dark? Long question. Not really long question, just long answer. Um Anthony says Save Your Money. It was dog shit. Really? Oh. And Heather, yes, definitely American Horror Story. Anthony says everyone is watching Black Mirror but me. You know what? Give it a shot. I watch a lot of like TV show type stuff at the gym because then it makes cardio like way less of a horrible thing to do. I don't enjoy going to the gym, but I do it. But like if I'm like, oh, I can watch an episode of Ash versus Evil Dead, and then when I blew through that, oh, I can watch Black Mirror. The first episode I watched is real weird, and I was texting my neighbor about it because she was saying how she and her boyfriend watch it, and I'm like, is it a continuous storyline or is each episode different because of what happened in the first episode? And she's like, oh, no, 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 no. It changes each time. I was like, okay, because I don't know where they could have gone with it, but definitely give it a shot. It's worth it. Let me know what you think. We can compare notes. Lo says, let's talk about Oculus. What do you want to talk about Oculus? It's a wrestling movie, correct? I did call the ending just because they kind of followed the formula, like you knew what was going to happen, which is fine, whatever. I believe that one was jump scary. Joey did not particularly like that one because of all the mirrors we have in our bathroom. He's a mirror thing. He's not a big fan of any horror movie that centers around mirrors. And he just commented on here, no Oculus. I'm sorry. It was a neat concept. I mean, there's a bunch of horror movies that kind of center around, mirrors and that they're pretty creepy. I'd have to say my favorite mirror horror movie would have to be Candyman, if that counts. I believe that counts because you have to say it in front of the mirror. I remember the 90s being real weird about, like, with Candyman. Like, that was always on USA, and I'd always end up watching it and then feeling, like, really dirty while watching it. Like, I probably shouldn't have been watching it that young, but whatever. Anthony says, Freddy's Nightmares is my guilty pleasure. Don't be guilty about it. Own that shit. Just, it's a good show. Sometimes I feel sad, like, oh, it's, guilty pleasure. But if I find pleasure about it, I'm not going to feel guilty. I'm going to own that. It's a good thing. Gotta like what you like. It was one of my worries when I wanted to start a channel. Sometimes I have a really unpopular opinion about things, but that's my opinion. If you don't like it, you don't have to be here. Or you can tell me your opinion and not try to sway me, but just understand that other people have opinions. You know, Lo says, when you were a kid, did you ever play Bloody Mary? No, way too anxious. Never wanted a Ouija board in my house. Never wanted to play Bloody Mary. Never wanted to play light as a feather, stiff as a board. And I honestly have, like, wasn't raised religious or anything like that. Just born really anxious. Just like, I'll watch a movie about Bloody Mary. I have one or somewhere about Bloody Mary. We'll never play it. Way too paranoid. I am an adult and I won't play Bloody Mary because there's still a part of me that's like, it's real. But I know it's not real. But, you know, did you play Bloody Mary? Were you that kid? Are you possessed by a ghost, Lo? Let's find out. I don't know. I don't know if that makes me lame or whatever, but I don't know. Not really into tempting fate like that, perhaps. Heather says we played that. And you're still okay? You have no ghosts following you? What was supposed to happen? Didn't she kill you? Or did she bleed on you? That's disgusting. I hope she didn't do that. She says, light as a feather, stiff as a board at sleepovers. I remember seeing that was in the craft. And I was like, oh, okay, never gonna do that. Like, I see how all that shit like turned out. Like, everyone not so good for Nancy. Heather says, and oddly at the church sleepovers. Maybe that's why you were safe though. You were in a church. Can they mess with you at a church? Is that a thing? Maybe that's what kept you safe. Anthony goes, I like to drink Bloody Marys. Same. Oh, that's the best thing to drink Sunday. I'd say Sunday morning, but I'm not that functional in the morning. So by the time I would go anywhere, it would be like afternoon. But yes, Bloody Marys all day. I love a Bloody Mary. I like really spicy Bloody Marys. I don't know if you're into that too, but that's the way to go for me. I love that. I was watching something the other day where someone was completely trashing Bloody Marys, and they're like, it's disgusting and it's tomato juice. What's appealing about that? Oh, perhaps this cup of absolute deliciousness. That's also going to make me feel really good about myself because I'm going to be a little drunk. I like them. There aren't a lot of drinks named after horror movies. What is there? The Red Death, Zombie, Bloody Marys. I'm gonna make a horror movie called The Mimosa Monster because those are delicious. You guys like that, huh? I'm always tempted to do drinking games when watching movies, but then realize like I can't hang like I used to because I don't drink a lot anymore. And I'm not trying to have permanent liver damage or vomit. You know, that's no fun. There was one we tried to play watching Star Wars, and anytime Han Solo pointed, because that's apparently all he does in A New Hope is just like, you were supposed to take a drink. And I think it was like, we made it maybe 30 minutes in. And I was like, I'm done. Like, I gotta work tomorrow. I'm done. But our friend did make it through, and he lived to tell the story. But there's a drinking game with Tank Girl. I love Tank Girl. And it's like specific phrases they say. Every time they say them, you're supposed to take a sip. And I'm assuming that you're just dead at the end of the game because it's like every time they say water and power, you take a sip. And then like every time they do this, you take a sip. And if you do this, you have to chug and then you're just dead. Like by the time they do this, just call 911 and set up your dialysis. I don't know. Anthony goes, I love drinking games, watching The Room. I still haven't seen The Room. I am slacking so hard, and I like to quote it, and I'm that douchebag because I've not seen the movie yet. But I don't even know where to find it. I know a local independent theater that we have was doing a run of it, and I missed it. You know, it happens. Someday I'll find it, and I will watch it, and I will probably giggle. Heather says, The Room reminded me of The Cube. Nice. That messed with me a bit. I think I've seen Cube. I don't think I've seen the sequels, but I've definitely seen the first one. And it is a brain messer. Anthony's mad I haven't seen The Room. I'm sorry. I don't get out a lot. I work 2 jobs. I will get to it though, definitely. I will let you know. Someone just inappropriately asked me if I suck dick. Not yours, buddy. So, I'm sorry. I will try to see it. I will let you know when I see it, and we will talk about it. I know, for shame. I'm so sorry. I have seen a lot of really bad movies, though. What kind of 80s movies do you guys like that you hate to admit you like? Anthony goes, that guy sucks dick. He probably does, and he just wants people to commiserate with. Sorry, Charlie. Heather goes, what kind of what? In response to my question, what kind of, what movies do you guys like that everyone else seems to hate? I really like Lord of Illusions. My really good friend hates it. And he's not a huge Clive Barker fan, which is fine. But I love that movie. I love Lord of Illusions. I love the guy that's running around in the very flamboyant pants. I love the subtext of the movie. I loved everything. Nightbreed. I love that movie. Also, the subtext hits me in the feels. And it is a super deep movie. And I loved it. Lorena goes, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I like that movie. I just finally got my hands on a copy of the DVD, which I was looking for a really long time at said movie store that I referenced before. I still need to watch it again because I love it. I haven't seen it in years. Like I'm saying, like at least 10 years. And I was watching some kind of like, it was a bunch of different, like the best kill scenes or whatever. And the one with the knock my block off part was in there. And I was like, oh, I need to revisit it because I haven't seen it so long. Yes, Anthony. He goes, Lord of Illusions was good and your friend is wrong. I like the movie too. Thank you. Hello says that was definitely Dan. I had a feeling, but you're definitely welcome to watch that with me if you would like. I know how much you love clowns. She hates clowns. She had tried to get over her fear of clowns, she told me, by seeing the new It. I was like, oh, girl. So, I don't know. I feel like this one isn't so scary. At least now it's not so scary. Like, when you saw it as a kid, definitely Killer Clowns, like, that was creepy. Like, that messed with you. The It miniseries definitely messed with you as a child. But, like, now not so much. If you are looking to be messed with, clown, that I think Eli Roth had some hand in it. I liked that. I thought that was good. I liked the history of the clown that they put in there. I thought was really cool. Anthony says Critters and Critters 2. Oh yeah. And Ghoulies. That's That's an unpopular opinion. And freaking Troll 2. I love how bad that movie is. Like that does it for me. I love it. I was watching that. My mother-in-law lived with us in our old house, and she was walking through the living room as I'm watching Troll 2, just looking at me with disgust, like, what? You're better than this. Why are you watching that? I'm sorry. Heather says, I hate clowns in all caps. They are not funny. No, the fuck they aren't. I used to really have a hard time with clowns. And then I just kept watching stuff with clowns, and eventually it desensitized me. Like, I still don't mess with Ronald McDonald because I don't know who's under that makeup, and it freaks me out a whole lot. So, yeah, pretty creepy. With the eye thing I was having a really hard time with eye gouge scenes. And you're going to know the ones, like, you're thinking of them if you watch a lot of movies, like the one from, I think it was Zombie 3 with the splinter. I thought maybe I could overcome, my squeamishness with eye stuff if I just watched, like, you can just YouTube compilations of, like, eye scenes in horror movies. And I was like, oh, I'll just desensitize me. There's no desensitizing yourself to that at all. It's not going to happen. You're just going to want to throw up for about 20 minutes after watching it. And then you have to go to the eye doctor anyways, and they do horrific things to your eyes, and you're like, this isn't any better. I still don't feel good about this. Let's see. Heather says, clowns and spiders need to be introduced to fire. That almost rhymed. Yeah, I'm not a fan of spiders. The ones that we get because we're in the country are like the big fuzzy kinds. And they're like self-aware, and they'll look at you and be like, hey, one of those things. I'm not into that. I hate them. Fuck them. I don't care if they're beneficial to the environment. Don't be in my house, because I'm going to get someone else to get rid of you, because I'm not going near you because I'm a huge pussy. But whatever. What's that movie? There's Big Ass Spiders is a good watch. Arachnophobia is a good watch unless you're actually scared of spiders, and then it's not a good time. Don't watch that. Or do watch that. Obviously, what is it? Eight-Legged Freaks. Any B-rated movie from the 60s involving spiders is going to be a good time. Heather says, did you see the one scene in Saw where they put the key behind the guy's eye? I did. I was not a fan. Not of that part. I love Saw 1. I like all the subsequent traps in the sequels. I'm not a huge fan of sequels again, but I thought they did a really good job with the traps. They were very inventive and disgusting, which is definitely key. The one part, I think it was in the first Hostel with the blowtorch in the girl's eye, made me want to throw up, and I liked that it got that reaction out of me, because that's the point. That made me gag, and he did his job. Well done. The Achilles part was also disgusting. Anything involving the Achilles, I think in Pet Sematary, that was possibly the worst one, because you could feel it. Like, I don't care who you are. When you saw that happen, you grabbed the back of your ankle and shuddered, because it's, woo, Let's see. Anthony says, Ray, you're so fucking cool. This is a spectacular stream and you're terrific. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'll be honest, I was super nervous. I did a watch along with me with Brian from Horror Show Entertainment. I think that was on Wednesday. And then we did plan on doing a live stream together, but we had a little technical difficulty. So I decided just to go on with myself. And after saying that, had a mini panic attack, because I felt like I couldn't do this, and I was really nervous, and I'm like really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much. Like, I really appreciate it. I'm really loving, all your interaction and that you even showed up. Like, it really does mean a whole lot to me. And I want you guys to know that. And my dad's here, and that's awesome. And he's probably cringing a whole lot with the things I'm saying, but I'm so sorry. And I got it honest. I'm your kid. So thank you. Do you guys have any more questions? It looks like we're at, oh my God, we're at an hour and 35 minutes. I might need this other Red Bull if we keep going. Oh, there's little spider emojis. That's so cute. Oh, Heather's got to go. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I'm super looking forward to seeing you in person, to give you a huge hug, because you are awesome. And I love you too. Thank you so much. You had really, really good questions. You're awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Aw, I give you a virtual hug with my T-Rex arms, apparently. I'm sorry. All right, so I'm going to ask you guys some questions. What are some of your favorite authors? Like I said, I super love Clive Barker, Poppy Z. Bright, obviously Edgar Allan Poe. I don't know if you can see him. Where is he? Maybe if I do this. He's upside down, but I have him on my arm here amongst very numerous Misfits tattoos, because that's my shit. H.P. Lovecraft, Stephen King. I'm reading a collection of Stephen King short stories right now. I can't remember what it's called. I feel like the worst person. But the first story is 1922, because I had watched the film. I think it was a Netflix film. And I've literally been trying to read this for like 2 weeks. And again, the short attention span. Like, I'll read some of it at night, but like I work 2 jobs. I do get up really early in the morning, so I'm tired, like once I stop moving for the day, I kind of just fall asleep because I'm tired. So like, I think once I finish that one, keep moving on, maybe I'll review it a little bit, but I'm not really the one to review Stephen King things, if you know what I mean. It's definitely for Fuego on the horror show. He does awesome reviews. Check him out. Let's see. Anthony says, did you ever see the documentary on Nightmare on Elm Street 2 where the director of the film gay bashes the guy who plays Jesse? I did. That was really hard to watch. It takes so, like, even now, even though that is more accepted, like your sexual orientation is a little more accepted and people aren't so shitty about it, like, to know that that happened then and is probably still happening to this poor guy, like, that hurts. And I thought that movie was great. Like, I loved it. And like, that was terrible. I felt so bad. I still feel like that, it's shitty. It shouldn't have happened. And I'm glad that he's still doing cons and stuff. Like, good for him. I did recently, they have a bunch of horror movie documentaries on Prime right now. There's one that was on Pet Sematary that was really cool. Like, they talked to people, like, a lot of the people that they got to help with the shoot and everything were like legitimately local people that really didn't, like, they weren't in the biz, they weren't trained to do all this stuff, and they're still living in the town. So they got to speak to them, and they're like showing, where the pet cemetery was, and she's like, and if you look here, this is where that was, and we had to clear all this stuff out. And it was so cool just to see, like, normal people talking about the experience they had, and like with all the actors and Stephen King himself, and all their stories about it. And it was really, really neat. And then obviously, like there was a George A. Romero one about everything to do with Night of the Living Dead, and I loved it. And they had a lot of interviews with him, with you know, people that were inspired by his work, which was really cool. They addressed the copyright issue, which some people don't know too much about, but they left like the little copyright symbol out. And there's a movie that I've seen. It was like this ridiculously long title. It was like Night of the Day of the Dawn of the Attack of the Son of the Bride of the Zombified, Mummified, blah, 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 blah. And it's the whole movie of Night of the Living Dead, but they dubbed over it. And there's like weird breaks in it where they would have like fireworks and stuff. And there was a number for complaint. Like, if you have any complaints, call this number. It's the number for the freaking White House, because we called it and then shit our pants immediately because realized what it was. And we're like, oh my God. And it was hilarious. Like, the entire thing was hilarious. There's a bunch of college kids, I think, that just redubbed their own shit over it. And there was like Timmy the Talking Shotgun, and the one part where they're in the kitchen and they're like interacting. It's like, I want a tuna sandwich. It's just ridiculous. If anyone gets their hands on this shit, let me know, because I need it back in my life, because it's so funny. And if you get the chance to watch it or you find it, like, please watch it, because it is worth it. It is so funny and so stupid, you know. What kind of franchises do you guys like? Thoughts on Phantasm? Because that shit fucked me up a whole lot. Still scared of the tall man, even though he's no longer with us. R.I.P. Angus Scrim. But you gave me nightmares for a really long time, and I have respect for you for that. I still have yet to see the latest Phantasm. I've heard mixed reviews on it, so I kind of, want to give it my own shot, to see how it goes. I think, like, Phantasm definitely is different than, like, any movie that I've seen since. Just because of the weird, like, alternate dimension thing and, like, the creative way of processing the dead, I guess you could say. Boy! That was Anthony. Thank you. And just, like, that one scene where he's loading the coffin into the car by himself, and that alone is scary as shit. Those things are really heavy. Anthony says, what is your husband's favorite horror movie? And he said It. So he's not a huge fan of horror movies. Generally, if I get to pick the movie from Redbox or Amazon or whatever, it's going to be a horror movie. And then it usually ends with him saying, you're never picking the movie again. Because Mama likes bad movies. But whatever. He did super enjoy it. We got to see it in the theater with our neighbors, which was amazing. And like one of our first bonding moments, because they lived next to us for like, I think 2 years before we actually started to hang out. And I was watching the miniseries on TV when I was cleaning, because I think I downloaded it on Prime. And we ended up like all like drinking together that night. And I somehow convinced them to stay and watch the entire miniseries. And then we all realized, like, shit, it's really late. But that was when we found out, the It reimagining is coming out, and we're all super stoked for it. So we all ended up going together, and I got to sit next to my friend, and she has the greatest reactions, like kicking and jumping and like freaking out at the jump scares, and it made the movie so much better. Like, she's awesome. So he liked that. I think he was super into the one scene with the projector in the new It, where he got really, really big. That wasn't one of my favorite scenes, because I was kind of like, I mean, like, yes, it was cool, but to me, it looked a little hokey. Again, like, super snobby about practical effects, but, like, it was cool, though, yes. So he was super excited about that. That really got him, like, he jumped. Lorena says, in regards to my husband's favorite horror movie is Pitch Perfect. He's actually a huge Pitch Perfect fan. Don't tell anyone. I got dragged to see the most recent Pitch Perfect because I love them so much. I do. Um, Anthony says, if you are an extremely huge Phantasm fan, you'll be completely disappointed with the latest edition. Really? I mean, you're probably right, as I'm not like a huge fan of sequels and reimaginings or whatever they are. I probably will be a little disappointed, but I figure like I also need to complete like the run. I feel like even if I hate it and I know I'm gonna hate it, I for some reason still feel compelled to at least watch it because I need to like finish it out. You know what I mean? Like very rarely do I ever start a movie, watch the movie, realize the movie is horrible or I'm not feeling it and turn the movie off. I force myself to watch the movie and I will complain about it pretty much the whole time. I'll be like, why the hell am I watching this? Because you need to see it through for some reason. It's not going to get better 9 times out of 10, but like at least you watched the whole movie, I guess. I don't know. You gave it that shot, maybe. Is anyone else like that? Or you like actually have common sense and you're like, no, I'm never going to get that hour and whatever back of my life. I'm just going to cut my losses now and never speak of this again. But, you know, Anthony says, what are your thoughts on the new up and coming Purge movie? So, I mean, I've seen at least the first and the third. I don't think I've seen the second Purge, but I wasn't like that big of a fan of it. Like, it's a cool concept, but there's a lot of people that want that to be a real thing, which kind of freaks me out because my house isn't super structurally sound. But like, I don't know. I just wanted to punch those girls in the throats really hard in the last one. Just spoiled brats, like just beat the shit out of them, you know. But like, I don't know. I wasn't like a huge fan. I got the subtext in it that people aren't super happy about, you know, the current state of things. But if we're already not happy about it, we don't really need to make a horror movie about it because it's already happening. That whole thing again. I don't know. Like home invasion-y stuff is like, eh. I mean, it was cool, the suspense, and like it did get my heart pumping, but like not something I'd go out of my way to watch again. Even if it was in my way, I'd probably not watch it. But you know what I mean. Anthony says, I agree. Even if the movie is shit, I will sit there and watch it. Thank you. But you complain the whole time, right? Because I do. And like I'll talk to myself or like I'll look over at my dog and be like, why the fuck are we watching this? This is shit. And he's like, you have thumbs. You could end this right now, but I won't. But you know. Need to see it through. Anthony goes, I want my candy bar. Those girls couldn't act for shit. I know, right? They're just, I don't know. It made me think a lot. Like, it makes me sound like the oldest person in the world when I'm just like fucking kids these days. But seriously, fucking kids these days, like, some of them just, it's not that far off thinking it could happen because they're just not disciplined. And these are going to be the people that are taking care of us when we're like bedbound and shit. And that scares me a lot. That's a real horror. Lo says, have you seen Funny Games? So I suck and I haven't seen the original or the remake yet, but I am trying to get my hands on them because I've heard really good things about both actually. Um I've heard they're pretty messed up and I'm into that. Super excited. I'm working on it. Some sequels, not sequels. Reimaginings I'm still trying to see. I still need to see the I Spit on Your Grave remake and the I Spit on Your Grave remake sequel. I've seen some, like, not spoiler reviews on them, like, just, they keep stuff still hidden about the remake, and I feel like no matter, like, the remake's probably okay, but nothing's gonna top what the original did and how, like, realistic it was and how really painful it was to watch, especially as a woman. Um, the end is definitely, like, it's a little gratifying, but it doesn't it doesn't undo what happened to her, so you still don't feel good about it. Anthony says, "I hate kids these days. They're assholes and pussies. They aren't thick-skinned or rough like our generation. Oh, tough like our generation." You need to have a thick skin in all aspects of life. I agree with you. Life's not sugar-coated, and not everyone's gonna like you, and you need to have a coping mechanism for that that isn't, like, not even a coping mechanism, you just need to cope. You just need to get through it. So I'm nearing, looks like 2 hours. I think I'm gonna wrap it up at 2 hours because I have, a tiny sized bladder and I've been drinking a lot of Red Bull. But are there any questions you guys have that we can answer in, like, 8 minutes? Anything you can think of? I think I talked a little bit in the beginning what I wanted to do with this channel, and I definitely want to do, obviously, horror movie reviews, maybe some music stuff, although I'm not, like, I don't know, I have a hard time getting into, like, music that's happening now. I'm usually really late to the party on stuff with music-wise. Um, I like makeup a whole lot. I know maybe some people aren't into that, but I'd like to do maybe, like, horror movie inspired makeup looks, or throw in, like, maybe some products that I've used that I really like that I want to get more recognition, let people know about. 'Cause people like makeup too, you know? Like, if I were to watch a review channel that was everything that encompassed my loves, it would probably be those things. Um, my dad says there was a classic short story about a succubus by Poe or Stevenson, but I can't remember the name. Do you remember? Let me think on that. I can't remember top of my head. I don't know. I'm a bad child today. Can't remember things. Anthony says, "I Spit on Your Grave" is hard to watch. It totally is. Um, I remember the first time I watched it, the part that's closer to the beginning with the speedboat felt like it lasted an eternity, just because you have that, like, impending feeling of dread. You know something terrible is going to happen to that woman. Like, obviously, I wasn't around when that movie came out. Oh, I wasn't. Um, so I didn't have it tainted by any previews or spoilers or anything like that. So I literally had no idea what I was in for other than the cover art, knowing something terrible is going to happen. And I feel like it's going to happen to this girl because for some reason it wasn't okay for her to be a single female by herself. She's a novelist. She's trying to, like, be able to get her mind together. And for some reason, that's not okay. So I didn't know what was gonna happen to her, but I knew something was gonna happen to her. I think that's, like, the worst feeling to watch, and it happens pretty slowly in that movie. At least it feels like it does. It probably doesn't. It is a good pacing, but it just felt like they knew that the people watching were expecting it to happen any second, so they like pulled it out, slow as possible. That's an awkward way to put it, but you know what I mean. We got 5 more minutes and then I'm gonna wrap it up. So Matt Godfrey says, you've seen Veronica on Netflix. I saw some horror people typing it on Twitter the other day. I did. I watched it on Wednesday, and hopefully soon I'm going to put a review out about it with my thoughts. It was a lot longer than I thought it would be, or maybe it felt like it was a lot longer than I thought it would be. I don't know what the norm is for, Netflix put out movies, but I'm definitely I'll talk about that then. Any last minute questions? Anything you guys can think of? I'm gonna try to post. We're working on getting a better computer. This is literally the computer I had for MA school, and it's not the best. I found out that there's not even like a place to put a DVD in, because we thought we were gonna lose power, and I was like, oh my god, I need to watch movies. Like first world problems, but there's nowhere to put one. And my concern, if I record on here, even though I have an external hard drive, it's going to be so slow. It's going to be so hard to edit that it's going to take me literally forever. So I'm possibly thinking, if I try to record something, it takes forever. I might just do a live stream review of Veronica, and then, whenever you guys see it, you let me know what you think. But if it's just not possible on here, that's how I'll do it. But I'll try to get some content up at least so you guys can check it out. Let me know what you think. Let me know your opinions. Just because I have my own opinion, I don't expect anyone to agree with it. If you have a different opinion, you put that down. You tell me why you feel that way, and I will respect that. Unless it's something about my cat, you're wrong, because she's the best cat in the world. But you know what I mean. Like, I'm not gonna delete things because your opinion differs than mine. My opinion could be shit in your mind. That's fine. That's your opinion. America, So 1 hour 58 minutes. It really doesn't feel like it's been this long, and I'm really thankful again for everyone, all your interaction. I really appreciate it. I'm glad that I'm not just sitting here alone with no one, giving me any feedback or asking me opinions or what I like, what I don't like, what kind of villain I'd be. So again, super cheesy. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. I guess I'll just wrap it up here, but I hope you guys had a good time. I definitely had a good time. I loved every minute of it. I'm so glad you could all make it. I would totally appreciate it if you would like, comment, and subscribe.